Hey, how's it going there, your old pal Jim Super Picker Flippin' Duo? We are back at it this week. Haven't done a video in the last week. We've all been dealing with allergy stuff around the house. Just seems like everything this week, just like all the pollen fell off of the trees and the grass and everything all at once. So I haven't really been dealing with like the nasal stuff, the sinusy stuff, but I've just kind of been in a brain fog for the last week, just kind of out of it. So not really content ready. So we're getting back into it now. Ashley and the boys are still kind of, nasally and kind of sneezy and all of that. So they're doing what they can, day by day. But I'm going to do a video today. We're going to look at something different. We're going to look at what I do with the proceeds of each sale that I make. So how do I budget the money that I make with each sale? So we'll look at that, and we'll look at specific sales, because I feel like people go through this a lot. Some people use this exact system a lot. And I used this system before I knew it was a system. I didn't really, it's just the way that my brain kind of works, right? To segment things out. So the system commonly is called profit first, right? So if you look into that, that's basically the system I use. Very simplified. You can get into great detail with it. I do not, and we'll get into that and how you can get into greater detail than I do if you so wish. So let's get into what I do with all of this money. It's not a lot of money. It's really not. With the proceeds of each sale that I make, with each payout that I receive. So every day, this is what I do when I transfer money out, and then the next day I receive that money, because I transfer out every day. It hits my bank account the day after, unless I do an instant, which is, I really don't, unless it's the weekend and I need something, so I'll pay that $2, because I've got a deal that I need the extra cash for. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's see what I do to make all this money work for me. So and make sense. So let's break it down. All right, so this is the system that I use. I've got 3 buckets set up at one bank, 3 different accounts. I've got, and I use Capital One. You can set it up online, super easy. Super easy to transfer money in and out. You can Zelle anywhere. I Zelle to my external bank, which is my household fund, the fund we use to, buy our food, pay our bills and all of that. I keep that external on purpose, so that I can't dip into that if I need to, for business or any other reason, whatever. That's totally separate from business stuff. So everything that comes into the business goes into the all deposits account. That's the only purpose of that account, is to receive money, right? So all the money goes into that account 100%, right? So that's 100% of all deposits come into this bucket here. And then we are right off the bat going to take half of that money and put it into the external bank. So that money is going out. So that is our salary, if you will, of each and every sale or each and every payout. And then we come back to this 100% figure, and then 5% of that is going towards a profit bucket or account. And that's just savings, rainy day fund. That's what I use it for. As it grows, and if I see an auction that's kind of high end for me. I'll pull from that. Um, Anything like that. I use it for business stuff right now. I don't use it for extras like family vacations or things like that, but eventually I could get there, right? We're not there yet. So we're still in growth mode. So that 5% profit goes towards extra inventory. I just try not to touch it until I really, really need it. And that is like I find a buy that is like, oh, I need to jump on this. Let me pull from this profit account for some extra cash, so I'm not having to borrow money from somewhere. It's just like an extra, just rainy day, like I said. So, and then 45% goes into my business fund, which is what I use to make purchases, buy shipping supplies. I use it for gas and all of that kind of stuff. Then I have over here on the side, so as you can see with my arrow drawings, my super fancy stuff here, 100% and then 5% first, then 45%. It doesn't matter, as long as you're dedicating 5% of your 50%, because it's split up 50-50, business and salary. You're taking that 5% and you're just setting it aside, right? Now you can take from your 45% and create more accounts to then save for things like what I've got listed here: taxes, shipping supplies, investing. If you want to open up like a Roth, you could set up an account to set aside some money specifically for that. You can set up a gas account. You can set up a miscellaneous, whatever, if you want to keep your profit for you as your just solely your profit, you can set up a miscellaneous account for your miscellaneous stuff. But all of those extra buckets are going to chip away at your 45% business fund. Now, you're going to say, why aren't you saving for taxes? Because the situation that I'm in, and I have been in since I've started the business, is we don't pay taxes at the end of the year because we have kids, we have, our house, we have a lot of tax write-offs. So we have never, ever owed money for taxes. So I don't have to worry about that right now. There's a lot of little tax write-offs that we use to get our taxable income way, way down. So we're not worried about that right now. In the next probably 4 or 5 years, unless the government, lowers their dependent age, or my kids decide not to go to college or whatever, then we'll have to create a new tax account, and then set aside probably 15% or 20% towards taxes, and that'll come out of that business fund. But as of right now, the way that our taxes are working out, we don't have to worry about that. We get a refund every year, so we're not concerned with that. So that's how it breaks down. And you can get as detailed as you want with as many accounts as you want. And that's why I like Capital One, because it's all online. You can set up an account in about 5 minutes. You don't need a whole bunch of money to put into that account to start it. And it's super easy to move money between accounts. And their customer service is pretty good whenever I've had to use them, which is like rarely ever. And some of their accounts, their checking accounts are interest bearing. A lot of this stuff is savings. Like my profit is a savings account. My business fund is a checking account. My all deposits is a savings account, although the money doesn't sit there very long. So, it just receives a deposit and then it disperses the money. So that's really just a clearinghouse account. So, so that's how it's set up. So what we're going to do is go into a couple of specific orders. And this is where I think a lot of videos like this they use examples, right? They use like, well, if you sell something for and you make $50 and this is, no, we're going to look at real life, like this is what I sold, this is how it broke down, and this is where the money went, right? And I took a high, a medium, or and not a medium, like a typical, I guess, and then a low. So I didn't do a super low because I have some of those as well. I have like $10 sales, but you're breaking up like $3 in profit, and it's really not. I mean, there's nothing there, but I still do, and I'm not doing this per sale. I'm doing this per payout. But if we're looking at the payout, that's where it's like kind of average money. Like if I transfer out $200, then $100 goes to the external bank, whatever, and I'm splitting up my money. I should be able to do that math, but I can't do it right now. $10 into the profit. That would make $90 into the old personal fund there. So the business fund rather. So yeah, so let's get into the first sale. Let's see if I did this right. Yep, I did. Okay, so we sold this 1950s Fisher Price Gold Star Stagecoach from the 50s. I think I said that. Like I said, brain fog. It's terrible. Sold it for $168.75, right? So when you see videos, including mine, that are like, hey, I made $1,500 in sales, that's the top line number. That's not profit. That's not, what the business received. That's the top line, the highest number possible, right? Like that's what we're receiving in to eBay, not even to the business. Like that's what's coming into eBay. Then eBay's got to take their money, and then we get our money, right? So, so when we're looking at $168.75 plus the sales tax, the order total was $178.88, right? So that's what eBay collected from the buyer, right? So then eBay is going to take their tax money back because they got to pay their taxes. And then eBay is going to take their fees, $20.85, $9.12, and then I paid to ship this, so that's $10.30. So our order earnings, what came into my all deposits account was $128.48. Okay, so that's what got deposited into my account. Now, first things first, $64.24 went straight to the house, right? That's what came home. That's what came up to our external bank. And I know I put profit first because that's the name of the system, but I always pay the house first because the bills need to get paid at home. So, and then I come back to that 128.48, and then I say 5% of that, not 5% of what's left. It's 5% of the top line number, 5% of the total deposit, which would be $6.42, right? That went into the profit account. So it's small. It is small, but it adds up quick, okay? And then what went into the business for future purchases was $57.82. Now this item I paid $10 for, plus 20% buyer's premium at auction, so I paid $12 for this item. What the business made back was a total of $57.82. Now you can deduct that $12 from that, and I made a total profit in the business of $55.82, right? So you can look at it that way. But what the business now has to spend is $57.82. Now that's spend on new inventory, shipping supplies. I might need to gas the car. If we're out and about, like if we order lunch, that'll come out of that because that's all write-offs. Like that's all we We can write that stuff off on our taxes. So that all comes out of that account. Now, again, you can set up a separate account and have a gas and meal card, or a gas card and then a meal card. If you really want to, break it way down, you can do that. I don't see, for me, it's not a big deal to just, have it all come out of the one thing. But if you want, you can do that. Now you can also set up an investment account. I know Freddie's going to love this. You can set up an investment account at Capital One, not an investment account. You can set up a savings account or a debit account, a checking account, and label it investment. And that money is solely for the purposes of sending to, a Fidelity account, or, Robinhood, if you wanted to just do stocks, or, whatever program you use, solely for your retirement. And you can do 10%. So that would be $12.84 going into that bucket, making your business account that much smaller, right? So if you want to do it that way, you can do it that way. We just have everything going into the business right now because we're in super growth mode, and we're trying to get it up, to get it business up, get your mind out of the gutter. We're trying to get the business up and growing. So yeah, that's example one. That was a nice order. So now when I bought this stuff on my last video, I said this one item was going to pay for the whole auction. The sale top line, yes. But when you break it down, no, right? So, because I spent about 150 at that auction, 154, right? So I sold this item for 168.75, but as you can see, like after earnings, 128 doesn't quite pay for it, right? But then when you're breaking it down, and you got to pay yourself, if you're doing this full time, your lights need to stay on, your mortgage needs to get paid, your kids need to eat. So really, this sale paid for a third of my total bill at that auction, which is still good, still quite good. But when you're listening to resellers saying, "Oh, this one item paid for the whole thing," that's top line. That's what we mean by this sale pays for the whole thing. We know as the professional, as the seller, that's not quite the case, right? Because the money gets split up. It's going 10 different directions. But it's still a good sale. I mean, it's still paying for a lot of what we purchased that day. So let's move on. Let's move on to something. All right. Let's do it this way. Next up is, let me get that top stuff out of the way. Cranium Balloon Lagoon. Family Fun Carnival GameWorks complete. Blah 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 blah. Sold it for $33.75 free shipping. Sales tax of $203. Order total of $35.78. Again, that's top line. Whenever you see your sales number on the eBay main page, that's the number that they're taking. When they show you, oh, you've made this much in sales today, that's the number, $35.78, sales tax and all. If you charge for shipping, that's in there too. So when they tell you you've had a $300 day, you didn't. Because they're saying that, oh, you've made this money, and it's including your taxes, it's including what you charge for shipping, so on and so on. So after we back out the taxes, the fees, the shipping label, we've earned $20.61. I think I paid $4 for this item. So that's our buy cost. Still a good sale. right? Like we're depositing $20.61 on a $4 purchase. That's five times your money. That's good. $20.61 goes into the all deposits account. We're putting $1.03 into our profits account, 5%. The external bank account is 50%, so that's what goes into the other bank. It leaves the Capital One ecosystem completely, $10.30. Then the business gets $9.28. So from that $4 sale, the business now has $9.28 to buy other things with. And we still sneak away $1 for profit for, later use. Now that 928 also needs to buy shipping supplies. So maybe another account for that purpose, and just setting aside another 5% for that, because I did the math this week and I'm spending about 91 cents a shipment on shipping supplies, extra stuff. Like I try to figure out, gas and all of that for the year, since it was the end of the quarter. So I'm at about 91 cents per shipment on my cost. So opening up another 5% account and just setting aside 5% for that is not a terrible idea, rather than just, buying when I need to buy and having to deal with, I got to set aside, $150 because I need bubble wrap and, two sizes of bags this week. Might not be a bad idea just to have that money set aside already. So I'll have to look at the numbers and see if that's, if I should do that or not. Anyway, so so that's again, that's, you're paying yourself $10 on one sale, and the business is also receiving $9. I'm cutting off the 30 and the 28 cents, right? Like that washed out. So that's not a bad sale. It's really not. Now you have to repeat that. If that's your only sale, you're in trouble, right? Like the object here is to repeat as often as you can. So so this is just one of the 10 sales I did that day, I think it was. So and I do between 7 and 15 sales a day. And they don't all look like this, and they don't all look like the last one. This is about the average, or a little bit less maybe. So, but let's look at the lower end. We've got this pocket knife. Okay, sold it for $18.75. Sales tax of $1.31. We back out the sales tax, so $20.06 again, top line number. Back out the sales tax, back out the eBay fees of $2.69 and their promoted listing fee of $1.02. And then shipping label was $5.56, and this is a 4-ounce item, so that's as cheap as it'll ship. And we're at an order earnings of $9.48. So that's what goes into the all deposits. Our profit on that is just 48 cents, right? So I'm just throwing 2 quarters into the profit, but I'm still doing that. Now, obviously, when I'm transferring money over, it's not per sale. Now, on Poshmark or Mercari or Depop, it may be per sale, right? It may just be that one sale that's clearing for the day. So this may very well be how it looks. But on eBay, it's typically, 10 to 15, 20 sales that you're transferring over all at once. So extrapolate this by 15 to 20 and, you know, it's looking a little bit better. So half of that 948, 474 is coming home, right? That's paying the bills. Business is getting $4.26. So I bought this at auction. I spent about $150 on pocket knives, and I still got a bunch left. But per lot, I averaged probably $4 a lot, and each lot had between 3 and 6 pocket knives in it. So this one knife paid for the whole lot. Now the business received the money for this whole lot that this knife came in. So the way you look at that is the other 3 knives in this lot are now 100% profit, right? So yeah, the buy cost on this, I think I put $2 on it as the buy cost. And we're still doing pretty decent on this. Now, I did not do like a $10 sale because I do have those too on my ads, on some like paper ephemera stuff, like really kind of lower end cheap stuff. I'm getting ready to list postcards. We may do a couple of postcards that low. It's really just you know, it all adds up. It all definitely adds up. So yeah, so that's where we're at. That's how I split up my money. And as I'm talking, I may have just convinced myself to do a shipping supply bucket just to kind of keep that money separate. But I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely not a bad idea to divert money and just have that money sit there for, I mean, because shipping supply stuff comes up every single, you use it every single sale, right? So you need to replenish that stuff all the time. So it's not a bad idea just to have a bucket fill up with money for that purpose because you're always going to use it. So that might not be a bad idea to do that. So that's what I do. It's called Profit First, but I've always done it this way. I didn't always call my profit account the profit account. It was just rainy day, right? But I always set aside a little bit of money just for in case, right? And that could be the car breaks down, or I break my arm and I got extra medical bills that I need to take care of, or the kids, or whatever, you know, whatever the case is, you know. So, yep. So that's it. That's how I do it. You saw each of the sale examples, real life examples, like down to the penny. And yeah, so when you get your payout, you know, if you transfer funds every day, if you don't do it this way, try it. See if it works for you. See if it helps you kind of understand where your money's going and helps you even out, or I don't know, I'm in this brain fog thing still. It helps you kind of make your income consistent. I don't know. I'm thinking of the right word, but I can't think of it. Someone will help me out there. But yeah, guys, that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, all the happy horse shit, and we will catch you next time.